So I'm bringing on Coach Brandon Buck back to the show, and he's got a leadership summit coming to the Boise State's Stueckle Sky Center on September 16th and 17th of 2025. We're going to be talking about the leadership summit. What's the whole point of going to one of these? Why you should invest in yourself, and checking out the speakers that are going to be there, including himself and many others that are bringing experiences, real life experiences to you guys who are going to be attending. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Pay attention to it. Just listen to it. Hear him out. Hear what he has to say. And if you guys want to sign up, make sure to hit the link in the description. Go to his website and sign up to be there because it's transformational. This is the Gametime Guru. So,
what time is it? Game time!
This is the Gametime Guru Podcast, where I interview sports figures from all over the world to help deliver a panoramic view on sports. So whether you're a former athlete, one of the crazies, or simply a casual sports fan, this is the perfect show for you as we peel back the curtains and learn from our guests every single week. I'm your host, Shane Larson, and I'm helping you see sports through a different lens. What's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Gametime Guru Podcast. Shane Larson here, host of the show. You guys listen, a really cool opportunity for me to reconnect with Coach Brandon Buck here on the show. Coach Buck, he was on episode 354 back in May of 2024 on the podcast, and we chatted about his background in sports. So if you guys want to learn more about him as an athlete, a former athlete, and kind of where he got into his leadership role now and what he's doing, check out that episode. I'll link it here in the description. But right now, I have the opportunity to kind of chat with him about what he's got coming down the pipeline. I always like to reconnect with our guests and see where we're at and kind of, realign. And this is really cool because if you're in the Boise area specifically, like this is a really cool opportunity. You don't have to be, but like if you're in this area, this is where it's coming. We're going to be talking about the summit that he's got coming up. That's going to be awesome for leadership. I'm a big believer in all these types of things. So we're going to be talking about that, but I want to say welcome back, Coach Buck. Thanks for joining the show, man.
Shane, it's awesome to be back, man. Really enjoyed last time we were here, man. Just a real good, easy conversation, and grateful to be back on.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I'm stoked to have you. I mean, you reached out to me a couple weeks back, just kind of sharing what was going on and what you had coming down the pipeline. In the last episode we talked about your summit. First thing I want to do is talk about how did that summit go last year? Like when you were putting it together in the leadership summit that you did, how did that go? And what were some of the things that, were said from the people who joined you?
Well, I think the beauty of those summits, right, is it gets like-minded individuals in the same room, right? We'll have 150 people in the Stueckle Sky Center this year, and they're just phenomenal people all striving for excellence, right? And when you just get around or get in a room like that, it just automatically elevates you. Right. We all want to be great. We all want to be successful. And I found the simplest way to do that is just get around other people that are trying to go the same direction. And you just kind of get caught in that wake and you get moving. So I think that's some of the most amazing things that come from events like that is that. And you come out and you're fired up and you've got this momentum and you're rolling. And, even if you only have that momentum going for a week or 2 weeks or a month, you're so much further down the road and you're so much more likely to continue. So that's some of the great things, but then also they just stay connected. Like we keep people connected. We set them up so people can continue to reach out and stay involved in each other's life because that accountability is huge. And so I think that's some of the most powerful things, especially that came from the last one that we're looking forward to in this one as well.
Man, I'm going to speak to that for a second. That's so awesome. At one of my previous jobs, I had worked at a company called ClickFunnels, and we did this event called Funnel Hacking Live, and people used to hear me talk about it, and even our customers would hear about it, right? But we would always say, you need to get there, right? You need to get to this event, somehow find a way to pay for it, get there wherever it was being held, Orlando, Tennessee, whatever, because we knew the transformation that could happen if you were in the room. And I think people hear it on the outside. Brandon, they hear that stuff like, oh, it's cool to be in the room, but they don't actually realize how important that really is. And so what would happen every year, we get about 4,000 or 5,000 people in a room. They're like, oh, it's just one of these raw marketing conferences with entrepreneurs. No, dude, I literally watched people's lives transform in a matter of hours, like literally what would happen. And so everything you're saying right there is the momentum that changes, that can shift. And I can speak to that not only from being an employee, being at those types of events, but also being someone who's been to one. So from an athletic leadership standpoint, there was the Masters of Athletic Leadership at Boise State, the MAL program they were putting on just a couple years ago. I went to this athletic leadership conference, and we had a handful of us. I think there was less than 100 people, so 75-ish that were there, of just leadership in athletics. So whether it was coaches, athletic directors, and so forth. And we were in there and we were learning all day. And just being in the room, like you said, with like-minded individuals, dude, the amount of growth that I took from that 8 hours of being together in that room on a Saturday was phenomenal. And then obviously adding speakers and just all the stuff you do there. But we connected, and I'm still connected to them. So everything you said there, like, these are people that I'm still connected to. And for my podcast, it's been immensely helpful. I've gotten guests on my podcast because of the connections I made at that conference 2 years ago. So just like little things like that I can speak to, and I know about it. So I want to make sure that people understand how impactful that can be. So when you guys you're doing this one's called The Edge. Can you give me a little bit of an understanding of what this event's going to be about and why we chose the name The Edge?
Yeah, I think, my sports background and whatever it is, or in business, everyone's always looking for an edge, right? Like, what's my edge when it comes out when we're competing? Like Boise State going against USF, like what's their edge, right, on Thursday? And so we're always trying to figure that out. And what I notice that a lot of times people have no idea what it is, right? When I talk to most people about the edge, they think I'm talking about the edge of a road, an edge of a cliff, or edge of a knife. And so they don't understand that. And usually what that means is that people kind of just do what's comfortable or what's normal or what everybody else is doing. But normal's just kind of where everybody just lives to die, basically, right? There's no dreams, there's no excitement. Whereas the edge, that's that stuff that gives you that difference, that piece that gets you to move when you don't want to move, that mindset that keeps you to overcome whatever gets in your way, right? That focus and that determination and commitment that encourages you to play at a level that others don't even know exists. And so it's like, how can we help people create that? And that's the plan, is that we're not just going to talk about it. Like, we're going to help you develop it. We're going to help you find yours so that you come out of there, you have something actionable to put to use. Oh.
Man, that's awesome, actually. And then obviously that pertains to this, because having a sports platform like this, I've talked to so many athletes over the last 8.5 years. I'm looking up on my bookshelf right now, Brad Johnson. He's a Super Bowl winning quarterback for the Buccaneers. When he was on the show, like, I would say that he had the edge, even though you wouldn't consider him like this MVP quarterback. But he had the edge, and he talked about the players that were on his team that did have that edge, the different people on the Buccaneers that were in the early 2000s that won the Super Bowl, Gruden as their coach, and kind of talking about all these guys. There is a difference there. And if, as an athlete, when you can tell a difference when someone has that. So from a leadership perspective, when you're looking at entrepreneurs, all these business owners that actually have that thing, there's a reason they're where they're at, because they have it. And if you're helping people develop that way and finding that, that's incredible. I always say, it's there's the biggest difference, I feel like, Brandon, maybe you can correct me, but like, I feel like the biggest difference between, like, you always look at these millionaires that are like running businesses, super successful leaders. They had the edge. They had this thing about them that they were willing to go and do the thing, where the rest of us have a million ideas, and there's like 99% of us have the ideas and we really want to act on them, but we're too scared to actually take action and fail. Whereas they have this thing about them and maybe that is the edge. I don't know, but it's like, I always feel like that 1% has it. Would you say that that's semi-accurate?
I think that's very accurate, right? That's the only difference, is people just do it. I know I've been in talking to teams before and individuals, and they're like, hey, like, how'd you start your business? How'd you do it? And I was like, well, I just did it. Like, I just was going to figure it out. Like, I never started a business before, didn't know what I was doing, but I knew I would just get into action and I would slowly start to figure it out. And I think that's what you notice with all these people that have it, is they just figure it out. They have no idea really what they're doing. They just know they're going to figure it out, and they're not going to stop. So.
See, I love that. I think it's so cool. I admire the people that are like, I'm trying to be more like that in my own life, just like being confident that I will figure it out regardless. And I think if you guys are helping develop those skill sets and providing those things, can you tell me real quick? I know that there's going to be a follow-up question to that. People will hear this. I know this from being part of events like this before. Like, okay, they say they're going to give us these applicable steps, these implementable ideas that we'll leave with to actually take action. What are some of those? Like, how are they going to share those things with us? What are they going to share that's actually going to give us those implementable steps?
Yeah. I mean, I won't be able to speak to all the other presenters, right? And what they'll hit on. But I know some of the big focus is one, just helping them actually figure out why they're doing it. What's your why behind things? And I think that sounds pretty common, but it's crazy how few of us actually know it, or that our why is just so surface level, right? Well, I want to 10X my business. Well, that's cool. Well, why? And it's like they've never really sat back and figured that out. Well, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what but really why? Right? You might be miserable right now, and all of a sudden you want to 10X your business. That'll kill you. So you got to know, really, what's the purpose behind it? And really that purpose, you have to get it to a selfless level so that it's not about you. Because once it's about me, a lot of times I'll have enough, right? I worked out yesterday. I don't need to work out today. I ate well this week. I don't need to eat well this weekend, right? Or I called people yesterday. I don't need to, when it's just about me, I'll stop. But when I know other people are counting on me, when I know other people are depending on me, I won't. Right. So it's helping them get that why to a selfless position. Same time, it's helping us begin to figure out really who we are as individuals, because as we're going after these things, it's very easy to lose our identity and wrap our identity around some title or some profession. And all of a sudden you're going to run that road, but it's going to cause you to sacrifice relationships and everything else. And I'll tell you, if you lose the relationships in your life, then I don't care how much you get paid, the cost is too much, right? It's way too expensive if whatever you're chasing costs you the deepest relationships in your life. So it's how can we go about this why, and at the same time not lose who we are, those people closest to us?
Ooh, I like that. And I know a lot of people will relate to that one. I've talked to so many people, Brandon, of leadership positions that have lost relationships because of what they were chasing. And ultimately they're kind of stuck where they're at right now because they've built this thing and they've forgotten the purpose behind it. So they've lost this other thing, but this is providing a livelihood for them, but they've already lost this thing. So they're in this mental battle, this emotional and psychological battle for the rest of their lives. Cause they're well, I can't necessarily drop this because this is what I've built. And so they've got a lot of other things going on there. I like the fact that you're already being cognizant of that and kind of helping people through that, because that is such a common, at least from what I've talked to, the people I've talked to, that's such a common denominator is people lose relationships in the journey, in that quest, if they're not careful and they don't understand their purpose. So I love that you're doing that, helping them find that the reason why, but making it so it's not self-serving, right? Understanding that it's going to be about something bigger than that. That's awesome. Okay, so this the event that you're doing right now for the Edge, it's going to be the Stueckle Sky Center, Boise State University. On the website at infinitestrengths.com, you have it up there, September 16th and 17th. So talk to us about the actual event. It says 16th and 17th. So talk to us about how the event is structured.
Yeah, so the main day is the 17th, and we'll talk about that here in a second. So we'll run that from 9 until 4:30 there at the Stueckle Sky Center. But part of this, as I said earlier, the beauty of these events is to build a community, right? To get to know people, to help elevate your game. And I love getting people together. And so what we do on the evening of the 16th, there'll be about half to 3/4 of the people that are attending. On the 17th, they'll come to our VIP night. And so we rent out White Dog Brewery. We'll have drinks and food there because there's nothing like building connection, like breaking bread with one another. So we'll get in there, and it's a great time for people to network, great time to meet people. The speakers are all there too, so you get to interact with them and meet them. And then we'll have one gentleman, he'll speak that night. And so you get fed a little bit more, other than just food, right? You're going to get your soul fed while you're there. And so we have Kyle Stark, who will be speaking that night. I've known Kyle for probably 10, 11 years. He's the former GM of the Pittsburgh Pirates, has been at the highest of highs in professional sports, and then now does a lot of speaking and leadership type talks around the country. And so he's going to come in and just be able to speak to that. And I'm really excited for the people there to hear that. Then what happens is we'll end that, that runs from 5:30 to 8. And then we'll go home, and then all those people come the next day. And so it's really beautiful, Shane, to come in, because you come in, it's well, you and I, we broke bread last night. So I see, I'm dude, Shane, what's going on? So all of a sudden the room is already filled with energy because people feel like they got to share a moment, right? We have an experience together. Then we get into the Stueckle Sky Center and we split everybody up into tables. So you're in round tables, and we'll split you up. So if you come with your wife, you're not sitting with your wife. We're going to put you in other tables, because if not, you're only going to talk to her. but we're going to split you up. And now you're going to meet 4 other amazing people in that room that are just as driven and focused as you are. And your wife's going to do the same. So all of a sudden you've doubled, right, your connections or resources that are available to you. And then throughout the whole event, we'll have, including myself, there'll be 5 speakers that present throughout all of it. We do a fun little kind of team building activity. So we're out moving around. We do a community service event as well, part of it. In the past, we've always made little care packages for the guests of Ronald McDonald House. So everybody is making one for them. This year, we're going to make blankets for the guests at Ronald McDonald House. And so we have all the material and people will be able to make them. And the president of Ronald McDonald House, she'll be there and we'll be able to present her with them. And she'll be able to take them back to their location, which is pretty powerful. And so we do a lot of that, right? And there's times where the table will work together, right? Helping each other out. And so it's more than just sitting and just like getting fed at your table. You're also going to get to help people, right? You're going to get to lean into them. And so we can start to create a pretty intimate and vulnerable place there where people really walk out with a lot of growth. So,
man, that sounds so exciting. Like I that's so cool. And even as adults, we get a little uncomfortable. Like we get our comfort zone. We have our comfort people. You said like your wife or a friend that you might be going with. I always have appreciated the events like that. I'll reference that athletic leadership conference again. I'll probably reference it again later too, but that's exactly what they did. They put us into tables and like someone would speak about a topic and then we'd have to talk about it amongst ourselves. And I'll be honest, I went in there with my friend who's a coach at the same basketball club that I coach for. And I was expecting to sit with him the whole day. I didn't know everybody over there. And I'm so glad that they split us up because over the course of the 8 hours or so that I was there, I'm not kidding you. Just what you said, Coach, is like, I learned so much from other people and I had guests on my show because of it. Like we connected and we built these relationships, just learning people's backgrounds, people from all sorts of different backgrounds, but also being able to work together. It's crazy what you can do. People that I probably, if we're being 100% honest, I hate to say this, but I probably would never have spoken to them otherwise. Like there would be no reason that I could see in my life that I would have reached out to that person proactively to like talk to them. But because I was in that setting, it was almost like this forced implementation, but I'm so grateful for it because it allowed me to meet these people that I probably never would have, at least on my own, on purpose. So anyway, just speaking from experience, I think those are super cool. And the way you have it structured is extremely powerful. So with that, there's a lot of people that will say, you know, when they see events and they'll be like, well, you know, I can't afford it, or I might not be in the budget. What would you say to those types of people that are, you know, they're excited about it, they hear about it here on the show, or they hear about it, they see something that you posted and they're thinking about it, but they're like, I just don't know if it's worth the money, you know, like, is it worth for me investing in that? What do you try to say to those people that have been having been through this before and running these before, and you've seen the transformations? How do you know, what advice would you give to those people?
I think it's what you just said at the very end, right? Like this is an investment, right? And you think about what all we spend money on, right? All these other costs and fees and everything else. And it's like you would spend, you think over a whole month, right, of what we do. Man, we might spend hundreds of dollars a month on alcohol, on junk food, on that type of stuff, right? That does not elevate us at all. And if it's a situation where we're going to spend, you know, $400, $500 on alcohol, whatever, but yet we're not going to spend the same amount to invest in ourselves, then our priorities are off, right? And I think that's really what it comes down to, is that you're investing in yourself. It's no different than like professional athletes investing in a trainer. They can look at it as a cost, but it's like really like their body, right? Like that's their bank, and they need that body to continue cashing checks. And so you need to invest in a trainer to take care of you, to develop your body to be there. That's the same thing here. You're investing in yourself. So your mind, right? You're doing work there. You're removing excuses, and you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to help you get there.
Dude, so good. I have had that experience myself. I've even had those hesitations myself going to events. Yeah. I will say I can always talk from personal experience, but I've also seen other people who've done the same thing, gone to leadership conferences of these sorts, entrepreneurship conferences. You know, a very common thing that's said after the fact is that like, this was more impactful than a college degree, or this was more impactful than this. And people will drop thousands, like tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars on school. And that's great. But it's for the same concept, right? But we're not even talking to that scale. We're talking about this. And I would argue that you get a lot out of this for the price point. You're probably getting 10x the value as far as your network, your knowledge, your skill sets that are coming out of there, just everything. You get transformed in a matter of hours for a fraction of the cost of what it would take you to go to college for 4 years. You know what I mean? It's like not even close. So I'm a big believer in investing in yourself, just like you said. I think that's what people have told me is like, hey, would you rather invest? Like, what do you spend your money on? Dude, I can $500, dude. Back in my gambling days, which I don't gamble anymore, man, I'll tell you what, coach, like there were in the sports betting days when it wasn't even legal yet and I was doing it illegally online. My gosh, dude, I had weekends where they were really rough, a couple $1,000 out the bank that I didn't even have. I mean, I was stupid. So like you think about that, a lot of us just make stupid choices with money. Yeah. This would not be a stupid choice with money. This would be one of those more intelligent, like higher IQ moments of investing in yourself. And so I would highly encourage those who are listening who may have that question of like, I don't know if I can afford it. Think about it for a second, what it's going to pay off in the long run. Right. And two, like, dude, we spend more than that on groceries in 2 weeks for our family. So come on now, like we can figure something out.
Yeah. And we definitely, we want it to be worth everyone's while. So everyone that's there, like they schedule a follow-up phone call with me about 2 to 3 months down the road.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the reason we do that is because I want to hold people accountable to their plan, right? Yeah. I don't want it to just be, a 9 to a 4:30 deal and it's done. It's like, no, hey, like we're in this and I'm going to reach out and just touch base with you. And Shannon, when I'm going to call you in 3 months, you better believe people work, right? People get into action because they don't want to get on the phone with me and go, dude, I see what happened, like this, and then here comes excuses out the wazoo. They won't do it. They'll get into work. And then it's really amazing. Like I said, what happens when you've been inspired and been working for 30 days because I'm talking to you. And then just in that conversation, you're already motivated enough to go another month or so. And then everything's changed.
Oh, dude. Heck yeah, man. I love the follow-up. I think that's awesome that you do that, holding them accountable. So you're going to get your money's worth and then some, dude. That's going to be awesome. So I would highly encourage you guys to check it out. We haven't even talked about the speakers, though. So I want to make sure they understand the speakers. What I was drawn to, Coach, is the fact that on your lineup on the website, there are a couple people, yourself, that have been on my show, as well as DMAC, David McKenzie. A lot of people in the Boise area know who he is just from like the Boise State era. Like he's in the media now. He's pretty well known on the social media space. He's done really well for himself there. So you also have some other people here in the lineup that I'm not familiar with. So would you mind like just kind of going through the lineup that you have for the speakers here?
Yeah, I mean, I've already talked about Kyle Stark. We have a woman. She just goes by Coach Dar. It's Darlene Santor. This woman is unbelievable, man. She's a best-selling author. She's a mental skills coach for the Phoenix Suns and several NHL teams. She's this little spitfire of a woman that goes in and works with these 6'10", 7-foot men, right, and just owns it. She was named by, I believe, like Time Magazine as like one of the top 100 women in the United States to know. Speaks in front of 10, 30,000 people. I mean, it's crazy the number of size of conferences that she speaks in. And she's just going to be right there, right? Sitting at the tables with you, ready to go. Great friend of mine. I've known her for, probably coming up on 15 years now, 13, 15 years, and just an amazing human being that will share her story and impact people that's there. You've already talked about David Paul McKenzie, local guy. I've known him for several years, and just his energy alone is contagious, right? And then you start to see what he's built over the last few years, and I'm dumbfounded every time I get online and I see that he's interviewed Spike Lee or Billy Crystal or Magic Johnson. And you're like, what the? I mean, it's pretty remarkable. And so for him to get up and share his story and how he's done things here, it's going to be great. Another local guy, great friend of mine, mentor of mine named Mike McCard. He is a leadership coach as well, best-selling author. He works for a company called Table Group, and that's Patrick Lencioni. And I don't know if you've heard that name. Patrick Lencioni wrote the book, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And so he's a consultant working through there. And just once again, a man with an amazing heart, right, to get up there and speak. And once again, a lot of people speaking on kind of similar stuff, but it's their stories and how they speak about it that's different, right? Like they'll hit people a little bit different. And then keynoting is the local legend guru, Chris Petersen. Like dumbfounded that I get to share a stage with that guy. Watching, we were in Arizona when they were in their heyday and went to every Fiesta Bowl. We were there, and excited. And then now all of a sudden to have him speaking and on the stage and me being able to share that stage with him is going to be pretty special.
Man, what a stacked lineup of human beings there. I think that's absolutely incredible. That's a lot of value being packed into the event. That's not even a question. I would like to share my experience having listened to Coach Petersen before at at that athletic leadership conference. I had the opportunity to hear him speak as a keynote speaker there. I was talking to Coach Buck here before we started recording. I still have the notes that I reference often, like 6-7 pages of notes just from his discussion there. I mean, I learned so much about just the compounding interest effect of just everything that you're doing, doing the small things right, and how he applied it to the sports world was just incredible for me to hear. And what was cool about that event was that while I was sitting there, he had a former player of his who was now in real estate sitting at the same table as I was. And so it just happened to be a former football player from Boise State that played under Coach Petersen. Hearing him talk about that, it actually brought the guy to tears. They hadn't seen each other in years. They were sitting there talking about it after the fact. And I was like, is this real stuff? He's like, oh no, like everything he's talking about is real life. He's not just making this up for the sake of talking about it in a leadership conference or whatever. He's like, no, everything he did, we did. Like everything he's talking about, we did. And we applied it. And that's, if you hear, like you said, Coach, Chris Petersen is a local legend here. I mean, Boise State had a hockey stick growth of success during that era, and it was under his leadership. And he even took that same exact structure and that same leadership to Washington and saw success there as well. So like he knows how to have success at a high level at what he's doing. And I would tell you guys right now, that was a phenomenal experience for me. I still reference those notes. It's actually one of the cooler things. And he's not the only one that's speaking there. I mean, there's a lot of people that can provide value. I just wanted to share my experience from hearing him talk personally. I'm sure these other people are going to be just as phenomenal and bring just as much value, but it was so cool for me. And as a sports fan, as a Boise State grad myself, it's just like one of those things that I just like, it was an amazing experience. So I'm sure this is going to be all the same for people that are coming to your conference. So, how do we sign up for it if people are interested? I have the link here to the website. Is that the best way for people to sign up if they want to get a ticket?
Yeah, that'll be the best. It'll just be right there at the top. You go to infinitestrengths.com. It's just right there at the top. You can click on and register there. We limit the size, the number of people that are in there. So we'll cap it at 150. We still have some tickets left, not a ton, but we still have a few left that people will be able to get in there and get. And we keep it small like that so it still stays really intimate, right? It keeps it intimate. You're not just a number. Like I said, you get to see everybody that's in there. And one thing I think you'll notice if when you're in the room is just Chris Petersen will be taking notes, right? Here's the guy that's going to keynote it, but he's going to be taking notes because that guy is still learning, right? He's still learning and getting ideas and still improving in his craft. And I think that's one of the remarkable things you find is just those with an edge, like those that are elite, like they always stay there because they're always learning. Right? They never settle. They don't get comfortable. They keep growing. And there's a reason why they are where they are.
Ah, dude, I love that. Oh, man, super cool. Yeah, I'm a big believer in that too. Just always consistently learn. And you know what's cool? I just want to reference this. Stories. The reason I do this podcast, Coach, is because people learn from other people. I think today, especially the last 2 years, you got all these places, you got a plethora of opportunities to learn. ChatGPT, for crying out loud, if you use it correctly, can actually guide you in the right directions to learn topics. You can learn things, you can hyper consume content and so forth, but there is power in learning from individuals and their stories that are real life applications of what they're talking about. Like, so I still think that's why I love my podcast. I get to learn from people like you. I get to hear your stories and have you share those stories with the audience. People have given me so much feedback in the last 8 years of just different stories. They like to hear those things because people relate to those things. So when you go and you hear, yeah, sure, you can get a lot of information in other places, but why not go hear stories from people who have been there? If you want to be like someone or you want to get to somewhere and you want to learn how to get an edge, why don't you learn from somebody who has the edge in whatever their specific skill or their industry is? I think that's super cool. So Coach Buck, I'll put that here in the description for all those who are listening to this. Make sure to check out the description of the podcast. Hopefully by now you've seen this. You've seen some of the clips floating around here on social media. And hopefully if you missed this for some reason, maybe you come across this podcast later and you're like, what the heck? Follow Coach Brandon Buck here on his channels. Make sure to check out his website, bookmark his website, get in his ecosystem so that you can find out more about what he's got coming down the pipeline in the future. Coach, was there anything else that you wanted to touch base on today?
I think that's good, man. That works. I appreciate the opportunity, and looking forward to the 16th and the 17th.
Heck yeah. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Make sure to hit that subscribe button because we'll be coming to you next week with another one. Take care. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of my show. Now, if you could go and do me a favor, head over to iTunes, give me 5 stars, and leave me a review, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support.